Hey, oh, he's already.
Yeah, I like your hat like that.
He's already working on the Evo Wagon.
You look like something funny.
We have an Evo Wagon. It made 450 horsepower and 550 foot-pounds of torque on the stock Evo IX turbo with a 2.3 liter stroker. Right here on the bench, we have a Garrett G30 770 reverse rotation with an Artec performance turbo manifold right there. Turbo Smart 45 mil wastegate, and we're gonna stick this thing on there and possibly make 550 plus horsepower and probably still 500 foot-pounds of torque, maybe more, because this thing is gonna freaking spoil. It has a 1.01 AR. Got this nice manifold. I talked about it a lot in the last video, but the way this manifold is with the reverse rotation, it basically tucks the turbo up underneath the manifold, like up against the block, whereas I had a turbo manifold previously that it basically put the turbo right into the radiator. So that's an issue with Evos, with big turbos and all that other stuff. That's why a lot of people end up running a stock location turbo manifold with like an FP turbo or like a remachined turbo to use like the stock exhaust manifold and kind of downpipe and all that other stuff. Artec does make a really cool downpipe for that too. Stock turbo, 3.5 inch downpipe, make tons of power. That would have been really good if we had like a bigger stock housing turbo, like an FP0 or something big, but this thing should flow at least 600 horse. I think we should be able to make about 600 horse. It's a G30 770.
Ball bearing.
Big ball bearings, V-bands, little ring that freaking puts it in there. Great manifold, but this thing's just really hot because we just went and did pulls, kind of slow pulls. 15 second 60 to 130, 15.7. So I would really like that at least under a 10, maybe under a 9 would be nice, but I don't know. We're gonna see. We get this turbo on here. We're gonna make some exhaust. We're gonna fab up some intercooler piping to make all this stuff work, and then we're gonna drive it. Are we gonna have to pull the radiator out of here, you think, or you think it'll be fine?
I don't know, we're gonna have to figure it out together though.
I think we should probably pull the radiator out.
How well do you think this is gonna work?
It's gonna work great. Oh.
How's the lens doing? Oh, radiator, yeah. There's coolant in here. That is gold, dude. That is perfect.
Give this video a like if you'd like to see Trevor work on more stuff.
Oh, yeah, we did. Watch your fucking self. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that oil.
Probably fine. Probably maybe a little metallic-y, but.
Hey, do you guys know, like...
It's just, there you go. Wow. Nice unit.
That thing survived 30 pounds of boost for a lot of pulls. Alright, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Alright, we're gonna do a test fit because Charles has to leave. His girlfriend has a surprise for him when he gets home, and I'm not sure what it's gonna be. If Charles doesn't come back next week, I don't know what happened to him. Oh, yeah. Hey. The radiator might work.
You need to turn the wastegate down. For sure. I guess it doesn't really matter.
I don't know, it's gonna be close. Yep. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that unit. Oh, secrets. We dropped it.
Don't drop this, buddy. Don't dink it.
It's kinda heavy.
You'll be alright.
How about you hold it and I'll put the feedback. Alright, so we're putting the radiator in here.
The fan is too big. It's not gonna work with this fan.
So we might have to get a different fan is what you're trying to say.
This thing's ugly anyway, so.
It is kind of an ugly fan. I wonder if we can push like this thing over a little bit like that.
But still, it's not gonna clear because look at that.
Because it's touching the other thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
We need a skinnier fan. Oh, snap, that's loud.
It's your dad. Answer it and whisper.
Hello. Hello.
Hey Dad, what are you doing? Can you hear me?
No.
What are you doing?
Can you speak normal?
No, we're whispering today. We're making an entire video, and we're whispering, and right now we're on camera. So you have to whisper too.
No.
Please.
No. Call me when you're ready to be normal.
All right, 6 o'clock.
Alright, now put the radiator in.
Let's see if it'll go.
Alright, so the radiator's in. Let's test that wastegate fitment. So it's really close, but I think it might work.
Yeah, the radiator's not gonna move, so.
Then I need to decide if I want to do a hood exit wastegate.
Yeah, just right
The
out
little
there.
thing, it'll go out of the top right there.
That was a little bit loud, but.
So now we gotta see if the exhaust fits. Little exhaust thing.
Well, the V-band's too big. Well, I know, I see you just want the 90, but it's like on the...
Well, twist it so it's more straight. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that should work.
Okay. This is gonna be fun to make.
Yeah, I mean that's why we're a bunch of fabricators over here, okay?
So what was this on?
It was on the Civic when I had the...
Was it quiet?
Oh, hey, not as quiet as us, but that was when I had the 3582 on it.
Was it quiet with this muffler?
It quieted it down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it restricted it?
No.
Blow the horn into this and see if it quiets up. It does work.
Alright,
front one, but this is the one for the back. Basically goes right here up around the back side of the turbo. That should work perfect. And then I think maybe even the factory oil drain might just line up and work good. So we're hoping for that. I'm gonna stick it in there and see if it works. So this is that coolant line around the front. So you can see has a banjo fitting, goes right above the top of the turbo. And then right here, this one will go right on the back side and hook up to that coolant line right there. So the coolant lines should just be super easy. Just use the factory ones. Hey, take that phone call. Hey.
What's up?
What are you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm doing good too. Did I text you back earlier?
Huh?
Did I text you earlier?
I don't think you did you?
I might have. No, Jamie's babysitting tonight, so we're not gonna do date night.
Okay. She's not feeling good?
No, she's babysitting some other kids.
Oh, okay.
She's watching these kids.
Okay.
All right.
No worries.
All right.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
One eternity later.
Do you think that would be cool if the stock turbo drain worked? So I bought these fittings off the internet, which is basically a little sandwich thing and a little sandwich thing with these little adapters to 10 and they go up in there, and it's just like a shallow 90-degree angle, and I added, so it's like this. Is kind of how it's supposed to be. So then if you put a 45 on it over here, it's actually, what ends up happening is if you do like another 45, it like goes right there. So then I made a line, and I didn't like it, but I made a line. I took a picture of it actually. Oh, right here. I went from here to here, and I did that straight, and it was just too bent, and this thing was kind of folded over like that, and I didn't like it. So Garrett turbo is really similar to, I guess, the stock turbo in the way that it looks and stuff. So what I'm gonna do now is use the stock one, stick that guy up there, and then try to bend it, because it is kind of have like an accordion looking like flex section. It's not really meant to flex a whole lot. See if I could just use the stock one, even if we have to like cut and weld it. I think that would be a lot better. And basically it just needs like pushed over, bent, and then like, you know, or I just need to clock the turbo so it's more straight up and down, and that'll probably be okay. I'll probably start with that, because you're supposed to have a little bit of an angle with them, but maybe it'll be okay if it's just straight up and down, you know.
I think we would be well off not even just cutting that flange off, but cutting that 90 off. Because then that puts it, because we're sitting like this now, but if we can do a little turn in there, I think we'd be good.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's like a good finger in between the AC compressor, and all of our weld's gonna be well inside of where the V-band's gonna be anyways. Yeah, so if you see if we cut that in and just recess that lip in a little bit deeper, I think we're gonna be really good there.
Can I see that stainless? What piece were you thinking for the?
So this tightest radius is one of these guys.
Oh yeah.
See, and it's not far off the way it is. So that's why I think doing those two things, you're gonna have plenty of room between the compressor. It's gonna flow pretty nice and easy, and yeah, it wouldn't take much of a pie cut in here either. So it's not gonna be like a really tight, you know, crimp in there, a ½ inch in there.
So you basically just cut a pie out of that.
Exactly, the same way you do it in a straight tube, but then you have a nice smoother radius. Yeah.
All right, guys, so Garrett, he came over here. So he's actually helped me out with a lot of fabrication stuff here in the past. He helped do the firewall on my Civic. He did a downpipe on the giveaway Civic. He did a bunch of stuff on the C10 as far as making brackets and stuff to mount the cab. And really good at doing fabrication stuff. So as you can see right here, now that we have the turbo, there is a pretty tight radius that we actually need to do for the downpipe. So what he's actually going to do in one of the game plans, he said, is he's going to take the V-band flange, because I had to order the correct V-band flange. I didn't have the right one here. He's going to take it home, throw it on his lathe, machine out the middle of it so that way you can kind of stick the pipe in a little bit further, and then cut down the end of the flange just so we're not wasting space on that V-band. And it'll save us about 1/4 of an inch, which 1/4 of an inch in this scenario actually saves a lot. And he's actually going to pie cut a mandrel bend to get a little bit tighter of a 3-inch radius. Artec, the guy who sent me this manifold, they actually did this same turbo with a 3.5-inch downpipe, but they used a donut, which we don't have a donut for fabrication. So Garrett is going to go home and cut some stuff. We looked at the intercooler pipe, and we were looking at the turbo drain. So I think we have a pretty good game plan for tomorrow with this thing. So catch up with you guys then.
Tomorrow.
All right, guys. So Garrett is back here today after he went home. And he machined this flange. Check that out.
So basically it started off about that wide. We're having a little bit of interference issue with AC compressor. So had a couple, ideas, brainstorms of how to get a little bit tighter radius. I brought some tight 90s. Those worked out pretty well, but we need a little bit more. And so that was kind of the first solution. Just sucking the downpipe, everything closer to the turbo. I mean, we literally took about a 1/2 inch out of the flange area. So that actually worked out really well. I think we'll try to mock it up, throw it up in there so you can kind of see. We got a nice little air gap on the AC compressor now, and I don't think we're going to have to do the next thing that was on the agenda. Was we were going to actually pie cut the bends to get those even in tighter radius, but I think we're good now. We'll leave everything as is and kind of get to tacking up and welding, I think, here pretty soon. So a nice tight fit on that. And see, nice little air gap in there. It's good, about a finger width there. But yeah, I think that's going to be good enough. We'll probably wrap it too, just kind of keep the heat away from heat sensitive things. But yeah, I think we can get straight to welding now. So
Try that HTP and Verteg. You're gonna give it a try?
I'm gonna give it a try. It's the first time on the machine. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you're gonna fall in love. You're gonna be asking for the discount code. It's code MotionAuto10 on usaweld.com. Get yourself 10% off. That actually, I don't know what the code is, but it's something with Motion Auto. But maybe we'll put it in the description.
There you go. Nice
Right?
little text bar in there. All right, so I guess we can kind of get right to
Let's
it.
clean you off the space.
Pretty much got to the point where we have the turbo back in, we have the little stub section of the downpipe, just that quick 90 leaving the turbo, and I kind of have a rough idea of where I need to cut the exhaust that was in there. I'm not sure what brand or anything, but I'm gonna give it.
And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
A rough cut, just kind of eyeball the nice straight line across that bend, and we're gonna start here. You know, if we have good fortune, everything's just gonna line up and fall into place. That's probably not the case, but we're gonna try anyways. So, get to it. So we're kind of at a good spot, I think. So we have basically the downpipe section that we've made here kind of mocked up into place. I think that's pretty much where it's gonna have to go. So now we're at the point with the exhaust that we're trying to use, and man, it's kind of rubbing on everything. So we're trying to come up with a game plan to make this cooperate with the chassis, not just the downpipe here. So I think we have a game plan where, you know, it's hitting the transfer case here. I think we're gonna cut it at this bend. That should move us away. And then we have free reign to do whatever we want at the pan here where it's hitting. So at that point, you know, basically make a couple cuts and then try to make, you know, our exhaust tie into it. You know, I think we're gonna have to maybe cut up here a little bit to suck it a little bit tighter to the motor, but we're looking pretty good overall. I think we have all the materials we need to continue plugging away, and we're looking all right.
Sean and Garrett got the downpipe and everything all figured out on this thing yesterday. Turned out really good. Got the coolant lines, OEM coolant, or these are the factory coolant lines. They cut off the little mounting bracket and then painted them. So OEM cooling lines on it, the hard lines. We have this little line right here, which is a little braided line. I think seems like it works really well. Intercooler pipe down on the bottom is ready to go. Already bolted on and basically ready to rip, it looks like. So what I went ahead and did is actually bolted on this Turbo Smart Hypergate right here, and I actually ended up having to clock it because this right here was actually a little bit longer, so it was sticking out. So what I did is just pulled this off and rotated it. It's not like a V-band, it's just like a rotate thing. So you have to compress it because obviously there's a spring in there and it stays tight the whole time. So got that fully loose, put a new spring in there. So now it has a 21-pound spring in there, yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep, 21 pounds. That'll be the minimum boost. With the wastegate controller, we should be able to go up to about 40. So the giveaway Evo, the silver one that we gave away at the beginning of was that this year? That was this year.
What?
We gave away the 700 horsepower Evo when we were building this thing. So we're gonna start and finish this thing hopefully in the year, and hopefully this thing makes close to 700 horsepower because that G30 770 might be capable. I think it might kind of max out about the higher end of 600, but either way, this thing is absolutely gonna rip, and really stoked on this manifold. So now that stuff is in there and I got this thing clocked, we're gonna have to double check, make sure that the radiator fitment is correct, make sure that this engine doesn't like rock back and forth and like run into the radiator right there. Other than that, I think the turbo is all clocked, pretty much ready to go. Everything is all hooked up, and that basically what I'm trying to figure out right now is the lower dump tube. So you can see I just have it going straight down. This is about the only piece, actually this and this are about the only pieces of like 1 3/4 stainless that I have. I don't know, part of me wants to maybe flip it up and just go straight out that thing right there. That might be an option, or maybe I could just do like a little temporary pipe where it just goes straight and I actually don't even cut out the mesh, it just goes through the mesh. So that might be a little wastegate out the hood, which would be kind of cool. Obviously this thing doesn't sit outside or do anything like that, so that might be an option just for now to get that done. We did think about doing a recirculation, but you know, with the power that we're going to be making and the 3-inch exhaust, kind of makes a little bit more sense to have it evacuating. So gonna go ahead and figure out what to do with that, stick the radiator in here. Other than that, it's pretty much ready to start. Oh, I gotta put the O2 sensor in it. It's pretty much ready to start and run. Maybe get this thing fired up, see if we can make some turbo noises and at least go kind of roll into it, make sure the air fuel ratio and everything is good. If it's good, then maybe we'll send it on 21 pounds, which is the wastegate. I mean, I guess I could put a smaller wastegate spring in there. I could put like 14 or something, but hey, that's no fun going from 30 to 14, even though it'll probably be faster because it won't fall off at the top. So I don't know, got a couple things to figure out, but hopefully I'm gonna drive this thing by the end of the night. Kind of decided that I'm just gonna go straight out of the hood for now. I don't really like the material that I have in order to do one underneath the car. It would just kind of look a little bit ugly. In this one, I have 2 of these flanges for the outlet, so if I don't like the little hood exit one, I have a brand new flange. Once I get some other material, have a little bit more time, we could actually dump it under the car, maybe recirculate it or whatever. But for now, mostly just want to take this thing for a drive. So if you guys have a wastegate and you're trying to do the spring on it, whether it's a China gate or whether it's a V-band one, when you loosen this thing, it's the spring just wants to fly out. So what you do, what actually works good is these little clamps for, like, you know, construction or whatever. They actually work really well. So they're soft rubber jaws so you don't scratch everything. But then what you do is you go ahead and you loosen it when it's right here, tighten it down, and then this thing just spins right off, and then you could back it off really easy like this, and then it'll expand. And then when you go to squeeze it back together, typically the jaws on a vise aren't big enough because the springs are so tall. Helps a little bit when you're trying to put it back together. So yeah, now this gate will basically sit in here, have a little bit more space because I rotated it around. So now we got some good space, and all the lines and stuff will be towards the engine. And so we'll just have to cover those with some heat wrap. So yeah, I'm gonna just weld a quick little straight pipe on that thing, start hooking up the intercooler pipe in, fire this thing up for the first time. Alright, so we got it fired up. The power steering pump whines really bad. We confirmed that because we took the belt off it and started it. So I don't know what's up with the power steering pump. Maybe we need to replace it or something. But yeah, just put some coolant in it right now. Seems like it's bleeding down pretty good. So it's definitely a lot louder. Make sure nothing's leaking up here. Did have a coolant leak on the banjos, but I got all that stuff figured out. So yeah, just double check, make sure everything's good, and then we might be able to take it for a little drive and kind of cruise and see if we can hear some spooling sounds. Mesh. Obviously we'll either cut a hole or figure that out in a little bit, but man, this car looks so freaking cool. I'm so stoked that we built it. Like 7 pounds. I was watching the air fuel, just kind of rolling into it at low throttle percentage just to see, make sure the air fuel and everything looks good. I definitely think it's going to be lean, but you definitely hear the turbo. It sounds cool. Yeah, it pulls pretty good, just rolling into it even just like that. Wastegate spring should be about 21 pounds, and I'm not letting that open yet, at least. Yeah, it definitely pulls a lot harder up top. If it hits the full 21 pounds, it should be probably maxing out the gauge. Woo. Air fuel and everything looked pretty good. It was right under 1.5 bar. Like 11.7, so looking pretty good in that front. Means we should be safe enough to kind of, I guess, be doing the things that all right, cool. I think it's good. Alright guys, so just got back from the first drive, and I hadn't really planned on, you know, drilling a hole in this thing quite yet, but as you can tell, it made its own little hole right there in that mesh. So, and now the manifold, now that it has some heat in it, it almost looks like gold. It looks like we have this thing like 24 karat gold plated or something like that. It looks pretty cool. Just for wastegate spring pressure, again, it looked like that was probably about 20, you know, 19, 20 pounds, somewhere in there. It was right under the 1.5 bar on the factory like style boost gauge that comes in like the MR cars or some of the SE cars. yeah, overall, pretty happy with this whole setup. I'm pretty stoked with the way that it spools. Seems like it spools up really quick. Obviously not exactly how the stock one does, just because of how small that thing is. Overall, I think I really want to just get this thing on the dyno, and so that way we could actually tune this thing for like full boost, hook up the wastegate, and then maybe instead of running like 20 pounds, we could run like 35 or something like that, and see if we can make, you know, a little over 600 horsepower or something like that on this turbo, which would be really cool. Cool little package, reverse rotation G30 with the Artec turbo manifold. Again, if you guys are interested in one of these turbo manifolds, they do make them for 2JZ, Evo, as well as SR20, and again, Drift HQ or my friend Adam LZ, they actually have these things stocked in the United States. Yeah, if you want one, go grab one, and we'll put this thing on the dyno, see how it does. But overall, pretty stoked with all the fab work and everything that Garrett and Sean did on the downpipe and everything. So I'm gonna leave this video here. Let me know what you guys think, how much power you think this thing should make on the dyno. I think I would like to see over 600, which I think it should be able to do that. But appreciate you guys watching. See you guys later.